Three, two, one, action.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Hello, Aleister. How you doing?
What's up, man? How are you doing? I'm doing good.
Yeah, very well, thank you. You mentioned going to Monday Night Raw, and obviously Paul Heyman's now kind of the executive director of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
I want to know, what's your relationship like with Paul, and what are you looking forward to, kind of like working like under his tutelage, so to speak?
hmm So, the relationship I have with Paul is that we have a really good friendship. That's first and foremost, but we have a lot of trust. And Paul has given me so many obstacles to kind of test my mettle a little bit, and he has taught me so much about not only the business, but he's taught me a lot about the Aleister Black character. He's made me dive into that character so deep that I have literally written an essay about who Aleister Black is and what Aleister Black is, and it has helped me a lot with wanting to do certain things with Aleister and like giving him a direction, and I have Paul to kind of guide me in that direction. And like Paul is basically the outside source that tells me from a neutral point of view what we should and should not do, and then explaining that to me, and thus I learn from that a lot. What I hope to accomplish with that is that, well, I mean, I've answered that question like before. With Paul's guidance, I hope, and I don't even doubt it. That's how much faith I have in Paul Heyman. I mean, we all know Paul Heyman, and we all know what he has done in sports entertainment and professional wrestling, and it's that outside the box thinking that fits perfectly with Aleister Black. So it's only natural for me and Paul to kind of like establish that connection, that bond, because Paul always roots for the unlikely ones. He always takes the out of the box characters, and I mean, he's an out of the box character himself. He doesn't fit the mold. He doesn't fit the norm. He never has. I mean, that's how ECW came to be, and we all know how that went. We all know his contributions to sports entertainment, like I said. So for me, as Aleister Black, to have someone like that not only guide me but mentor me is, man, mind blowing. If you would have told 15-year-old, I mean, we all know that my real name is Tom. If you would have told 15-year-old Tom that, you know, this is what you'll be doing one day, and this is the person guiding you to it one day, I would have called you a liar. You know what I mean? Because Paul Heyman is one of the crucial people within this business that has shaped and formed and influenced this business, and people like myself to the point where we have everything that we have now. He was one of the first ones to think outside the box this way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, you talked about the kind of him helping you with the transition. Your transition from NXT has been quite interesting because you've kind of bounced around and done different things, but you've not really had a singular focus per se. Like, you've not had any, like a feud. Even especially recently, you've had backstage promos, but not really a feud with one superstar. What's that transition been like from like NXT, where you had like kind of long-term stories with Velveteen Dream and Andrade, various other superstars, but now you've kind of been bouncing around from kind of random matches?
Well, I mean, you have to understand that the cogs and wheels of Raw and SmackDown work very different than NXT. In NXT, there is room for hyper-focus. And Raw and SmackDown, it comes down to being established first, seeing how the fans react to you, and then once that small inkling of focus is there, now they can start building with you. So what they've been doing with me, especially the last few weeks, is just building. What is Aleister Black about? How effective is Aleister Black? I mean, if they put me in matches where I go toe-to-toe with whomever, and it's a 50-50 process, and it's like these killer barn-burning matches, that's all great. But number one, I think the WWE Universe knows that I can do that.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it doesn't make me stand out. Because everyone at this time, our roster is so stacked and is so talented. These barn-burner matches, we can all have them. But what is going to set Aleister Black aside? And it's not going to be just those types of matches. We have to establish who he is first. And that's the process. Like, a lot of people true.
Yeah.
They've been doing so much with me that by the time we're going to introduce these variables, you're completely aware of what Aleister Black is and what he does. And that not only goes for me, but that goes for a lot of superstars that you'll see.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, what's the promos been like for you? Because that's something a little different from when you were in NXT.
I wouldn't say they're like necessarily super different. It's just a different angle and different approach. We wanted to make them a little bit more direct, and I think the beauty of my character is that it doesn't matter if I am a good guy or a bad guy. I can go either way. I think that's the magic of the Aleister Black character, is that I've always been, even back on the Independents, I was either the guy that you agreed with or the guy that you were like, nah, the hell with this guy. And that's all good with the Aleister Black character, because I'm not designed to be either a good guy or a bad guy. I'm designed to fit whatever norm or idea you have, what is good and bad.
Yeah. Aleister, your character is really interesting because your style is really grounded as far as kind of the strikes and submissions go, but your character is kind of like, especially the entrance is almost kind of mythical, the kind of vampire edge. Do you ever see yourself kind of taking your character, the Aleister Black character, in kind of supernatural direction, like maybe like Bray Wyatt or Undertaker?
So the funny thing is like obviously there was a hint of supernatural to the character that is Aleister Black. I mean, I rise from an abyss. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
A normal human being doesn't do that. If I were to explain to you what Aleister Black is, which I won't, because that's something that is for me, you would understand that he's 100% supernatural. The problem is that I sometimes don't know if I think that Aleister Black is implied supernatural or that he is supernatural. Because I would never want to have the character to the point where he does extreme supernatural things, but I like the idea of people thinking that there is something. Could there be something supernatural about Aleister Black? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I like the implied idea better than the actual workings of him vaporizing and shooting lasers or like lightning bolts or like setting things on fire with his hands and stuff like that. I like the implied stuff more than I like the actual existence of it. I think that's a lot of times where the strength of Aleister Black lies, because obviously the character's no nonsense, and with the way that I wrestle, the way that I compete, like there's no need for having supernatural powers to the point where I have to manipulate the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, take for instance the Gargano feud. Like, there was no need for me to vaporize or materialize inside the arena. I just walked in and I beat all the security guards up.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, and you sound like you're still developing the character now to this day. I mean, you're learning more about it, but how much involvement do you have as far as, like, even back in NXT when you kind of first started, and even now, like, how much involvement do you have in kind of like the direction of the character and where you want it to go?
I have 100% involvement with the character. The whole thing is all me.
Okay.
And I get advice from people, and obviously we all decide on where the character goes. And I mean, sometimes, let's put it this way, let's say 95% of the character is in my control. But
Yeah.
there's obviously going to always be that 5% that comes from like a directive decision or what would work better. And I always have to take everyone's consideration into effect, because I mean, this is the company that I work for. You know what I mean? Like, I have a contract and I work for someone who has a great mind for professional wrestling, and whatever they say obviously goes. But as far as the involvement, they have literally, for the most part, let me do my own thing and let it steer the own thing and let me try things. And you mentioned the character's still in development, but I think that any good character is going to be in development. I mean, for the remainder of my career, I'm going to discover things and I'm going to stick new things to it. No character, as a human being, is ever done working on itself.
True. Yeah, no, that's true. That's very true. Thank you, Aleister, and I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, man, no problem. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.